and in today's session we are going to learn about how to build your dream team. Building your team is very important and it's one of the most crucial part of your business. You increase the chances of your success by over 90% by building the right team. So as Steve Jobs said, the great things in business are not done by one person, they are done by a team of people. So how to build your right team, how to build your dream team. A great idea can help you define a structure or a blueprint of your business, but a mission driven team is what gives it life, what gives it sweat to your foundation. So how a dream team would enhance your startup by, right? Like there are like a lot of different kinds of team and you need to choose what is the right structure. You need to get connected to yourself, very emotional. You need to get connected with people around you, both at the sympathy level and also by being empathic towards them. So just to define, because it's a very critical decision for your startup. Some teams are like basically goal focused task and constant involvement. And some people are, driven more by emotional connect. Right? So now let's move on to, how to screen your team members with the right requirements. The first important thing is define your team needs, like define your strength as an entrepreneur. If you're a guy who has a very extensive technology background, which means you need people more in the supporting role, or you need a co-founder who is good with marketing, who is good with tokenomics, and who is actually good with the overall business model, right? So you can stay focused on, completely building the right technology, right marketing. And at the same time, you also need to define the company culture, what you want to offer to your employees, right? Because being a startup, it's very difficult for you to be compelling enough in terms of pay scale, right? So you can basically combine it by offering them some ESOP, or you can give them some ESOP and some tokens, or give them an opportunity or a mindset that you are working on a project which is going to change the world for the next few years, right? So you need to jot down what are the key strengths you have as an individual or your existing teams have, and what you are actually looking at, right? And the other important thing is also acquiring top talents, right? You might face a lot of challenges. I have faced a lot of challenges because when you are early stage companies, it's very difficult to acquire amazing talent, because amazing talent are always expensive and you may not be able to have sufficient budget or resources to acquire them. So by being very specific with your job description, you can always have that side of negotiation where you can say that, okay, I just need your help part-time, or maybe I just need your help here. So that way you can actually get that expertise or involvement of that particular expert, and at the same time you don't have to compromise on your resources. So there are a lot of channels where you can find the right team, like LinkedIn, Discord, Telegram, WhatsApp. Just try to be, just go to a lot of networking events, connect with them, and things like that. So there's a very interesting quote in the Web3 world, like a developer should think like an artist and build like an engineer. So your product should look like fabulous, it should look like futuristic, and also your product has to be very heavy on engineering, because all the Web3 projects are very heavy on infrastructure. And even while building Web3 today, it has been a journey, right? Like we started around a year back, we experimented by building a lot of things, getting the right UI, right color combination, from logo to everything, and still we are not perfect. We are on a journey where we want to make things much more curated, much more perfect for our community, get more personalized AI algorithms and things like that, right? These are some of the key pointers which you should keep in mind, like the technical and the development team specifically, right? The first thing is that you need to have the ability to manage and engage in open source code libraries and programming algorithms and platforms, because the entire Web3 ecosystem is purely an open source community. And the more open source stack you use, the lesser your cost of operations would be. And also the open source stack has very good community, right? You could just put any issues on the GitLab or any of those platforms and you can actually expect like an instant response. And you can also improve your existing codes. You can also contribute to the additional new features, charters and things like that. And it also gives a lot of trust to the people, because most of the early stage users with your Web3 who are going to engage with your product or a service would be very high in technicalities. They would give a lot of preference to technology and the technology stack what you're basically building. And you can also be active in a lot of communities, just try to contribute, make yourself a name, and at the same time you can also learn a lot of things. So define a right product architecture, define a right infrastructure, make sure that you choose tools by also having cost benefit analysis, right? You need to know that, okay, how much every service is on the DevOps cost on the AWS or traditional infrastructure, because I have seen most of the companies just losing money by not being very smart with their infrastructure, because infrastructure is very expensive and it's very critical for your platform. right? And then you need obviously like a UI UX team, you need a marketing team, and also you need a graphical team, right? So I have defined and I have categorized these things into 3 stages. One is early stage, middle stage, and later stage. So depending on where your startup is and where your resources, or you can actually select any of these team and build it, right? Like it's important to have a lean team initially, so you can just stay focused on your core features and functionalities, right? And here are some of the important responsibilities and characteristics of founders, because most of the community members or builders I know for sure are also looking out for co-founders, right? Like who are good with administration, or who can potentially invest, or who can manage team, because a lot of co-founders in this space are either very good on marketing or are very good on technology. It's very rare to see a co-founder who has a combination of administration, fund management, and things like that, because you constantly need to be engaged with the community, you need to be collaborate, you need to always inspire team members, because the journey in the Web3 ecosystem is tough, because it takes a lot of time for you to explain your product and service and what kind of a problem you're solving. Because I have got a lot of people who always ask me that, okay, you have internet, you have everything, but why do you need Web3, right? So you need to make sure that you have effective communication channels, you need to make sure that you are actually communicating your vision right, and you're also very determined. So these are some of the key tips which can actually help you attract right candidates and right people for your startup, right? So first important thing is be always transparent about your mission and values. Be a very highly ethics driven company, and I have seen ethics really helps you a lot. You might not be successful today in cracking good business deals, but definitely people will value your ethics, and they would definitely remember you for your ethics, right? Highlight the unique aspects of your company culture, like what are you building, what kind of a problem you're solving. Just be focused on that, and also stay focused on as how you are culture driven as a company, right? I mean, most of the people who are looking out to join startups are actually fed up with the existing corporate culture and politics. So you just need to make sure that you are giving them like a freedom or a creative freedom to do things. You need to actually believe. I really don't talk about competitive compensation packages for early stage companies, because you have limited resources, but as you move forward, of course, everyone in your team becomes very critical. But there's a very unique way of structuring, and there are a lot of different instruments which you can use to structure the finances of your company, which you're going to talk about in the coming lectures. These are the things which you need to look at from a general perspective, and the right requirements in every candidate. A general perspective is they have to be collaborative, communicative, optimistic, flexible, and problem solving. The right requirement is that they have to be collaborative and creative thinker, which means that just being a collaborative and establishing partnership might not be enough. You need to be creative on how you can add value to every partnerships you bring onto the table. You have to be very much communicative and observing. You need to see where the market is moving. At times, like, it's very frustrating, because when you have so much community members, they also talk about a lot of bad things, which you cannot take it personally as a founder. But you need to be very patient. You need to make sure that you are communicating right messages, because just one wrong message can destroy your entire community. And there has been incidences in the Web3 ecosystem where a lot of startups have failed because the founders and the key team people lacked emotional management and was very less observant. So you need to be definitely very passionate about the project. You have to be very mission driven, and also you need to have like a very strong presence of mind, right? So how the biggest question is, I get that, okay, how do you understand the mindset of your candidate? I mean, what is the right way to evaluate that? So first important thing is you can evaluate your applicants if they have the right ideal experiences, right? If they are on the community management side, which means they are operating at a very higher level of stress, interacting with your customers, so you need to find guys if they have what kind of a customer experience they have in the past, right? What kind of a customers they have dealt. So most likely the ideal candidates are people who have worked in companies like Amazon or e-commerce companies, right? Who essentially been like the front facing of the customer and have handled a lot of things around the customer. You know how customers are when they call the call center. So you need to know whether the applicants have right ideal experiences or not. You need to also understand their critical thinking capabilities apart from their experience. You need to give them a lot of scenarios, test them in a lot of scenarios and how they are performing. You need to also know about their likings and dislikes. You need to know that what they are passionate about. You need to know about their personal space, what they like to do, and whether you can actually go in sync together, right guys? So building a team is essentially like a marriage. and you have to be very careful that you can be very successful at it, right? So here are some of the tips that how you need to onboard the candidate after you hire them. The first thing is that share them the company's clear values, monetary, non-monetary benefits, and all the essential factors. Communicate them why you exist today and why you need them, right? And then after you onboard them, you need to communicate to them about your responsibilities and roadmap of your startup. Be very precise and clear about the expectations, right? Because most of the candidates might not go well with your startup, and they might be moody, or they might be pricey, and they might not deliver up to your expectations. So they are like two things: either you make them comfortable or you train them in those areas where you feel that they need to learn, because training also plays a very important role in retaining. Because when a person knows that they're learning and growing, they would definitely do something really cool and would want to stick to an organization, right? So try to be very much communicative and encourage very interactive interactions. And then the last step is basically how you manage and retain your team, right? So one of the important ways is encourage collaboration. Find team members or build team members who can actually gel well with them. You need to foster a culture of innovation, right? You need to make sure that you hear out everyone and you implement their ideas. You give them credits for their work. You identify or you reward them and make their positive impact open to your community, open to your stakeholders. And also at the same time, you delegate them mission, congratulate them. So appreciation is like something which plays a very important role. I read this book by Dale Carnegie, which I would recommend to everyone, which is called How to Influence People and Win Hearts and Minds, right? So he describes it how appreciation can actually transform the overall output of the entire organization and the people you work with, right? And also the important thing is how you build a very strong relationships with your team. You need to be approachable as a founder. You need to make sure that you're always there. Your team members should know that they can reach out to you for anything and everything at any point in time, let it be personal, professional, or anything. You need to be there when they are in problem. Show empathy and offer as much as support as possible. So how you retain your talent is also the important thing. So this is where you basically see your startups evolving from like a seed to pre-series A, series A, etc., etc. You need to make sure that you provide ample growth opportunities, because investors, while investing, they would definitely look at the culture of your organization. They would want to interact with your team members and make sure whether the team is right or wrong, because at the end of the day, every investor is investing in the team. Of course, the product and the business model exist, but most of the investors, they invest purely on the team, and the startup investments work purely on team. So you need to make sure that you are celebrating success, you are encouraging work-life balance, and completely away from all those corporate politics. So ultimately, the best team brings the best results. It is a myth that Web3 talents are scarce. You can find your right team member via the above discussed strategies. And if you're looking forward to find like a right talent for you, you can also reach out to us at Snapper Future Tech, and also you can reach out on Web3 Today's Web3 Ventures section, and you can also reach out to IndianBlockchainInstitute.com, where we are basically creating like a platform where users can learn about Web3 on building products and services on the Web3 ecosystem. So we have like a pool of talent for you, and we are here to solve your problem, guys. And if you're an entrepreneur and a startup, please feel free to reach out to us via any of those platforms, and we are like happy to help you. The idea with Web3 Today for me personally is to connect with the people, to connect with the community, and offer them the best of my experience and offer them the best of my capabilities which I have built over the years, right? So I want to make sure that every startup in this ecosystem succeed, and we are able to add value both in the technical perspective, from the marketing perspective, community perspective, and also by getting the things right. So there are some interesting sessions which are coming on, how to build and identify a right market, how to build your community right, in the next session. So I have been stressing a lot about building a right community, but in the upcoming sessions, I'm going to discuss everything in and around the community, guys. So stay tuned and tune into our next session. And thank you so much. Bye bye.